Hi there, I'm Hayley Armstrong, Specialist Senior Educational Psychologist working on the preparation for adulthood strand within the local authority. I've put together some input today to talk briefly about the new preparation for adulthood pathway in Bradford for students ultimately from Year 9 onwards with EHCPs. The two main strands that I'll be discussing this morning is the new person-centred review process for these students. This formerly was called the monitoring review process, which you might be familiar with. So I'll describe how this might look for the future with students with EHCPs who will be transitioning into post-16 education and employment. The second strand I'll be discussing as well is Bradford's preparation for adulthood brochure. So very briefly, this is a new brochure that is being developed within the local authority, aimed at parents, carers and students, so they're better informed about the options available in Bradford for them. So starting with the person-centred reviews, so from January 2022, there's going to be a new person-centred approach to monitoring reviews being trialled for students transitioning to post-16 education in September 2022. So the rationale for this is to ensure that the students' aspirations are absolutely central to the EHCP process. So I'll go on to talk about this a bit more in a minute, but within EHCPs there should be a golden thread, and right at the start of that should be the students' aspirations and hopes for their future. So the aim of this really is to make sure that the students' aspirations are completely central to the EHCP review process and that the outcomes being developed for students are very reflective of this. So this is going to replace the current monitoring review process for this cohort of students. So this is how the new person-centred reviews will look. So they're going to be led by assistant educational psychologists within the service. So the first port of call will be the assistant EP, and you'll have a link one as usual. So your assistant EP will contact you to arrange a meeting. This will be attended by yourself, student, and ideally the parents and carers as well. And this should be organised at some stage prior to the student's annual review. So the assistant educational psychologist will complete what's called a path with the student. So the purpose of a path is to clearly identify the student's vision and aspirations for their future. And this will then support the development of sections E and F of the student's EHCP. On the next slide, I'll talk a little bit more about what a path is. So following the path, a meeting will then take place with yourself to discuss how the preparation for adulthood outcomes and provision in the student's EHCP might look. So this again will be supported by your assistant educational psychologist, and it will be based on the information provided from the path. This will then go to feed into the student's annual review. So in terms of what a path is, so a path stands for Planning Alternative Tomorrows with Hope, and it's a person-centred planning tool which is often used to support students with transition into their next setting. So PATH is really useful for supporting students with additional needs to help them to identify and communicate their goals and aspirations. It's a very visual tool that's used as well and offers opportunity for collaboration from different people within the meeting. So it also helps the adults who know the student best help them to achieve to develop achievable and realistic goals for the future. So what I'm going to do is attach to the email that I've sent, I've attached the information sheet to provide further information about the PATH process and what this is. And as before, this process will be facilitated by an assistant educational psychologist. So in terms of the new person-centred reviews, in terms of what the benefits are, as I mentioned to start off with, there should be a clear identification of the views and aspirations of the young person, starting with that golden thread. So the golden thread is something that should link the students' aspirations to the outcomes set for them and for the provision as well for the future. So in times gone by, it was aspirations, needs, outcomes, provision. So there should be that clear link there. And having a meeting like this with the PATH process makes that link more achievable and I suppose gives students more of an opportunity to be able to communicate their views, their aspirations for the future in more of a person-centred way. It also offers you support with developing preparation for adulthood outcomes because from Year 9 onwards, I suppose the outcomes that we're looking at in EHCPs, there's a big shift towards the future in terms of education, employment, the independent living, good health, community inclusion as well. So support from your assistant educational psychologist in terms of how we take what's in the PATH and how that's then translated into the outcomes and provision for young people, that will be provided in this meeting as well. So hopefully that will make it a little bit easier and more streamlined for you as well. When the new preparation for adulthood brochures develop, which I'll go on to talk about in a moment, that should work in tandem with these meetings. So we can think about what the students' aspirations for the future are, and then what are the options available in Bradford to support the young person's aspirations for their future. While I'm really aware that having two different meetings in terms of this person-centred review and then the annual review as well might on the surface feel a little bit onerous and time consuming, the aim is that it should actually decrease hopefully the length of the annual reviews while still providing the opportunities for collaboration. So the aim is for a more streamlined process. So really the person-centred meeting should be a way of gathering the young person's views and aspirations through the PATH process, starting to think about how that can then be reflected in sections E and F of their EHCP. And then the annual review will still have the opportunity there for collaboration with other agencies, but actually the gathering this young person's views and the developing the outcomes to begin with as well. The bulk of that work has already been completed. So in the annual review, it's more about the collaboration of how we can tweak this, how we can take the input from other people, just to make sure it's really thorough and really reflective of the young person's needs and aspirations. A benefit for the student as well is speaking within an annual review probably feels quite daunting for a lot of students. So actually, if they've done the groundwork in a safer meeting for them where it is just a few key members, such as parents, carers, yourself, the assistant educational psychologist, this then gives them a bit of pre-preparation as well before their annual review too. So hopefully this process should feel less daunting for the student. This is an overview of what you will need to do, but I will as well attach to the email, I will put in again an overview of the process and how this should work. So the first thing that will happen is that an assistant educational psychologist will contact you to arrange a meeting date for this person-centred review. Once they've done that, it will need to be up to you to invite the parents, carers and the student to this person-centred review meeting after you've arranged a date with your assistant EP. You'll also need to share relevant documents for the meeting with parents and carers and the student, but these will be sent to you by the assistant educational psychologist, so this will just need sharing. You'll need to be present at the review meeting with the young person, parents and carers and the assistant EP, and this will last approximately 1 to 2 hours for the PATH process. Following the PATH meeting, you'll meet with the assistant educational psychologist to consider how the information within the PATH can be reflected in sections E and F of the student's EHCP, as we've just discussed, and hopefully that'll be a supportive process for you as well. And then following this, it'll just be a case of arranging the student's annual review meeting as usual, supporting the student to present their PATH at the review meeting and discuss and shape outcomes collaboratively within the meeting. So that in terms of the person-centred review process, that's a very brief overview of what the process will look like while we're trialling the new process as well. And when we're going through this, I will ask the assistant educational psychologist to share a link to a survey because this is very much in the trialling process at the moment. So after these start in January, we're really keen to have your views, your input as well as the student and parent and carers input in terms of what went well, what could be better, just so we can keep shaping and trialling this and getting this right for the future. So the new preparation for adulthood brochure, this is hopefully going to run alongside the new person-centred review meetings. So the brochure is currently being developed to provide a clear, coordinated offer of preparation for adulthood, including higher education and or employment, independent living, participating in society and being healthy as possible in adult lives, covering all those kind of key strands of the preparation for adulthood agenda. The brochure is going to be aimed at young people and their parents and carers, although we are hoping as well that this will be relevant for schools and settings, so it should be useful for yourselves as well. And it will aim to showcase the opportunities available within Bradford for post-16 students who have additional needs. This at the moment is very much still in the planning stage, so we would really like your views on this as well. So I've put in a SurveyMonkey link here and I'll put it in the email too, so it's a very clickable link that you can have. It shouldn't be very onerous to complete. I've tried to make it quite user-friendly and very brief to complete. But we're looking for this to be completed by students, parents and carers and school staff to see what would be most useful in this new brochure. And I'll keep the survey open probably until the end of September, so we can gather views and then use that to really inform what should be in this brochure for parents and carers and young people. So that is a very whistle-stop tour really of the two new processes that are being developed at the moment for the preparation for adulthood agenda within Bradford. What I've done, because I'm very aware that it's quite difficult when it is just sort of a pre-prepared input to have that sort of interactive quality and to ask questions. So what I've done is put together question and answer sessions. So I've done 2 Teams drop-in sessions on Monday the 27th of September. If you do have any questions, you're more than welcome to attend. You don't need to register in advance, please just drop in. So the 2 sessions I put together is 9:30 to 10:30. And then 4 till 5 on that day, just so there's 2 different sessions if there's any better time for certain people. So the meeting link should be in this presentation. You can just click on the meeting link in the PowerPoint that I will send round, and that should put you straight onto the Teams link. So please do feel free to attend if you do have any questions about any of this that I've discussed as well. You can keep hold of this presentation, so hopefully you can just, if there's anything that you need to refresh your knowledge of, you can just click on and rewatch sections of this too. But that is everything from me today. So thank you very much for watching this. And as I said, any questions, please feel free to either attend any of these Teams links, or if you just email myself, my email address is Hayley, so it's Hayley, Hayley.Armstrong@bradford.gov.uk. Thank you very much.